Hi all, Janae here. I'm going to bring you my very quick January wrap up. It's quick because I only read 4 books this month, and just for a variety of different reasons. Some months will be like that anyway. Like I feel like I read like 16 books in December and 4 in January, and that's kind of how it goes for me. So, hopefully this will be pretty quick. I am just going to go ahead and get into these books. I said in my last video, which was a haul, that some of the books from that haul are in this wrap up. I realized that all of the books that are in this wrap up are from that haul. So if you saw that, you're going to see basically 4 of the same books again, but I will go a little bit more into detail, just a little bit. So the first book that I read in 2016 is Sorceress by Claudia Gray. As I mentioned in my last video, this is the 3rd book in the Spellcaster trilogy by Claudia Gray. And so I'm not going to go too much into depth about the plot of this book, but I did want to let you know that I read it and just kind of plug the Spellcaster trilogy. Claudia Gray has lots of different series and trilogies and things like that. I've read quite a few books from her, and I really enjoy them. I think she did a really good job with this series with this trilogy. Sorry, in particular, it was just well done. I love the characters. Like I don't know the last time I really felt connected to a group of characters as connected to a group of characters as I did to these. I just love them and wanted the best for them, and of course there were also characters who I didn't care for, but the hate I felt for them was just indicative of Claudia Gray's ability to pull that out of me. And so if you are interested in kind of like a fantasy witchcraft type of trilogy, kind of a YA thing, I would definitely suggest this trilogy. I loved it. Yeah. So that's Sorceress by Claudia Gray. The next book that I have that I read this month is Made You Up by Francesca Zaffia. So I really, really enjoyed this book. It was something that will stick with me for a really long time. The main character she is someone who suffers from delusions, and so she's an unreliable narrator. She's going through the story, she's telling it, but there's a lot of things she doesn't know aren't real, and so therefore we don't know aren't real. There are things that she thinks are real that we are clearly like, that's not real. And so it's kind of like there's a small, no spoiler, but like a very small kind of mystery intertwined in this book, and she's kind of trying to figure it out, and so we are also, as a reader, piecing through the information she has and deciding what's real and what's not. I love this book. I love the main character. I love most of the characters in this book. I just thought it was really, really well written. It kept you guessing. It made you sympathetic. I just really, really enjoyed it. Pretty sure I gave it 4.5 stars. It was just a fantastic book. So I recommend it if that's something that you're interested in. Sorry if there's a little bit of a change. My camera died, or my phone died, and so I had to take care of that. So anyway, the next book that I read this month was Smart Girls Get What They Want by Sarah Strohmeyer. I really, really enjoyed this book. I think I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was going to be like a, normal kind of average YA contemporary, and it kind of was, but I really enjoyed the messages that were in this book. It's about 4 girls who are really focused and driven, have plans for themselves after high school, but want to still have the full high school experience, and so they figure out ways to kind of branch out and get into things that they're interested in. The main character, I loved her. I love her and her friend's relationship. I love reading about really strong and really good friendships. And there was the smallest hint of a love triangle rectangle, but it's really nothing to get on your nerves. And the way that the ultimate romance played out here, I really loved it. And so I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars, and that is the 3rd book that I read this month. The last book that I read in the month of January is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I really, 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 really liked this book. I don't think I loved it as much as so many people do because I'm not the biggest fan of fantasy, because it's not my go-to. Like, I enjoy it when I read it, but it's just not my go-to, and especially kind of like a really kind of high fantasy, experience. But I really did enjoy this book. It took me a while to get into, but after I was maybe a fourth of the way in, the pages just started turning really quickly. I really liked the story. It had, like, so much happened in this book. I was reading it like, is this a bind up of the trilogy? Like, this is just one book. So I cannot imagine how the rest of the trilogy is going to go. If you saw my last video, which was the haul this was included in, you saw that I have the last book in the trilogy, and I am ordering, or sorry, I have the next book in the trilogy. I'm ordering the last book now. So once the last book comes, I'm going to go ahead and finish the trilogy. I really don't want to be in a place where I'm finished with the second book of the trilogy and have to wait a while before I get to the third. Or if I do wait a while, I want it to be my choice. And so, yeah, I was blown away by this. And I will say, the language, the way the writer writes, just her writing style, the way she uses the words that she uses, the writing was beautiful. It didn't leave anything to be desired, honestly, in my opinion. Like, it hit every mark that it should have hit. And yeah, I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. I liked the characters. I liked the conflict. And it's kind of a cliffhanger with this book leaves off on, and so I'm itching to pick up the second one, but I am gonna wait until I get the last one, or at least until it's like on its way. So yeah, but I really did enjoy this book. I think I gave it 4.5 stars, so I had a pretty good reading month. They were all 4 or 4.5 star reads for me, and that's awesome. So yeah. Those are the 4 books that I read this month. Like I said, it was a slow-ish month, and that's just how it goes sometimes. I love those books. I'm super excited to share them with you all. And yeah, I don't have anything else. Those are the books I read this month. Thank you for being here. You don't have to, and you've chosen to spend your time here with me anyway, and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.